Today we are comparing the X-T5 and the X-T50, and we're going to answer the question, which one should you buy? Alright, so first let's talk about what is similar in both cameras. Well, both cameras features the 40 megapixel sensor from Fujifilm, as well as the X-Trans5 processor, the latest processor from Fujifilm, right? Which means that will give you similar results in terms of image quality, 40 megapixel and resolution, as well as autofocus capabilities. You will have in both of these cameras the subject detections for humans, for animals, for airplane, train, car, etc. You have basically the same autofocus system in both, as well as the same image quality that will come from both cameras. Now, not only you will have the same kind of results when it comes to stills, but it's also true for video. You basically have the same video features in both. Both feature 4K 30 as well as 4K 60, as well as 6.2K 30p, and you can shoot in 422 and also export ProRes and B-roll from those cameras. Now, we talked a lot about the features that would be the same, but now let's talk a little bit more about what is different from the cameras, right? So between the X-T5 and the X-T50, you have about 100 gram difference between those cameras. And as you can see as well, when you put both of those cameras together, honestly, there's not much difference when it comes to the size of them. The X-T50 is definitely smaller, noticeably smaller, but it's not a huge change by any mean, right? Now, if we look at the top of the camera now, well, the X-T5 has the usual layout of dials, the ISO as well as shutter speed and exposure compensation dial, right? But on the X-T50 now, you have this particular dial for film simulation. Now, I've been very critical of this dial when the camera was announced. I'm still critical of it because personally, and that's just my personal experience and the way that I shoot, yes, I like selecting my film simulation, but I like selecting my ISO better. For me, that's a priority, right? I want to be able to control all my my different features on top of my camera. That's why I shoot Fuji, right? That's why I love the X-T5. And removing this, maybe I'm just not the target audience for this camera, but removing this for me is just gimmicky, right? Now, not only do you lose the dial on the when you go from the X-T5 to the X-T50, sorry, but you also use the different shooting modes, right, on the bottom of the ISO dial. On the X-T5 here, I can directly select if I want to go single, continuous low, continuous high bracket, etc. Now what I do on this camera is I can just select my flash, but that's basically what you get on the XX lineup of cameras. So it's understandable. That's just also a trade-off when it comes to different lineups, right? Now, if you look at the other side of the camera here, you also have an auto dial that will basically switch your camera into auto mode completely, so that you don't have to think about aperture, etc. Right? You just switch this and everything goes auto, which is an addition. I personally feel like, okay, the auto dials on ISO, etc. were enough. I guess because they removed this, now they feel like they need to add this so that it's easy for you to go from auto to manual on this camera. That's something. Now, when it comes to the EVF, well, basically you have a better EVF on the X-T5, which is I think 3.70 million dot or 68 million dot compared to 2.36 million dots on the X-T50. Right, so definitely you can notice the decrease in quality when you go from X-T5 to X-T50, but it's not like the end of the world completely. When it comes to the LCD screen, well, that is a huge difference for me because on one camera, the X-T5, you have a three-way tilting screen, right? You can tilt like this, right? You can tilt like this, and you can also tilt like this, right? So it makes it very easy for you to, depending on your situation, right? If you want to shoot from up, you can go down. If you want to shoot from down, you can go up. If you want to shoot from the side, you can also do that. And that is not the case on the X-T50. You just have basically the two-way, right? You can tilt up and down. That's all you can do. Now, another big difference, and very big difference in terms of build quality between both of those cameras, is that the X-T5 has weather resistance, the X-T50 doesn't. Now, that matters really much for me because I shoot in very various conditions, right? I like shooting near the beach, in forests, or any condition that my client wants to shoot, I should be able to do so. And with the X-T50 and with the lack of weather resistance, I cannot do that. Now, they included IBIS in both of those cameras, right? 7 stops of image stabilization. But personally, my opinion is that when you're a beginner, IBIS doesn't matter as much. And actually, when you are a bit more advanced as well, you can work around IBIS, right? You can change your setting so that you can make sure that there are no micro movements that will affect your image. And having a camera that has IBIS but doesn't have WR, for me, doesn't really make sense, especially for the target audience that they are aiming at, right? And additionally to that, the XF16-50 that I have right here that they released with this camera does have WR, but the X-T50 doesn't. So you basically have a combo that will be sold together that only half of the combo will have that weather resistance, right? So it's kind of a shame. I think that that's kind of like a missing point here. Instead of putting IBIS in there, just put WR. I'm pretty sure it will make it for a cheaper camera. Now, another big aspect for me is battery, right? I personally have an X-H2S and an X-T5. I really like this combo because the X-H2S that I'm using right now to film myself and the X-T5 have the same set of batteries. I have 4 batteries. I charge those batteries, I bring both my cameras, and I can easily interchange the batteries if I need to. I don't have to think about bringing 2 sets of batteries, and I don't have to think about bringing 2 sets of chargers, etc., right? So if I go with this one, having the existing Fujifilm as an existing Fujifilm user, right, with the X-T5, I need to get the old batteries, which was my same complaint for the X106, right? Yeah, I think it's time to just, get rid of the old generation batteries. It's even easier for Fujifilm to go, hey, you want X-T XX, right? You can go. You want X-T5, 6 or whatever, you can go. You want GFX, and you still have the same batteries through the whole ecosystem. Now, another point that I have to mention about this is that you have 1 SD card slot on the X-T50, while you have 2 here on the X-T5. And not only do you have 2 here, but the placement is very different, right? Here it is placed below the camera, which is a minus for me, because if you want to put that on a tripod, it means that you will have to remove your plate and remove your camera from the tripod to change your battery, which is not the case with the X-T5. All right, so both cameras have same image quality, same capabilities, same internals basically, kind of, right? But they're really different when it comes to usability, to battery, to SD cards, to, yeah, a lot of aspects are very different between those cameras. Overall, the experience that I get is way better on the X-T5 compared to the X-T50, right? And the difference of price point between those 2 cameras is only $300. So what do I want to say here? Well, if you don't have $1,700 to spend on an X-T5, right? And you have $1,400 to spend on an X-T50, you can still get an X-T5 on the secondary market with maybe $1,500 or $1,600, right? Does it make sense for me to buy an X-T50 at the moment or to recommend it? Honestly, not really, because the X-T5 is a better camera overall, is a better camera that makes sense even for beginners overall, and is not that much more difficult to use, right? The X-T50 tries to, with the new dial, tries to make it like an easy to use camera, but I think that it kind of failed at doing this because as soon as people want to explore a bit more with this camera, everything becomes more difficult to set. And also the fact that weather resistance is missing on the X-T50, for me is a big deal, especially when you're selling it with the XF16250 that has weather resistance. So why not save an extra $300 and get the X-T5 itself? For me, the X-T5 makes more sense when it comes to future-proofing and when it comes to even for beginners. Because the X-T5 has the same capabilities, but has overall better user experience and will grow with you better than the X-T50. So let me know what you think down in the comments about the X-T50 versus the X-T5. Which one would you pick? Thank you for watching today's video, and if you've missed it, check out this video right here where I take you to the streets of Tokyo using the X-T50 and the XF16250.